Good afternoon, and welcome to the 28th Annual Chino Hills State of the City Address. On December 1st of this year, we will reach the 30th anniversary of our incorporation, the day we officially became a city. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. After a year like 2020, we are excited and honored to be together with all of you today, even in a virtual format. I am grateful to be joined here today by my colleagues on the City Council. Vice Mayor Ray Marquez, Councilmember Art Bennett, Councilmember Peter Rogers, and Councilmember Cynthia Moran. My colleagues and I miss celebrating with you as we normally would and in our in-person State of the City, and we look forward to the day when we can do this together. Until then, we'd like to recognize our elected officials, city commissioners, agency colleagues, the Chamber of Commerce, the business community, staff, and residents who are joining us today virtually. Thank you to County Supervisor Kurt Hagman for joining us, to Chino Valley Unified School District Board of Education President Joe Schaefer, to our City Manager Ben Montgomery, to our Assistant City Manager Rod Hill, and to our new Police Chief Garth Goodell. We thank you all for being with us here this afternoon. Thank you. I am honored to serve as the mayor of Chino Hills this year, especially as we approach a monumental anniversary in our city's history and at this pivotal time in society. This past year has been unlike any other in our city's 30 years. Together, we have navigated the worldwide COVID-19 pandemic, the Blue Ridge Fire, which was one of our most devastating natural disasters to hit our city. Even under this prolonged period of uncertainty, there remain signs of hope. There were a lot of encouraging moments along the way that have helped to see us through. If there is one thing that has remained the same over our last 30 years, it's that all of us on the City Council continue to be inspired by the resiliency and strength of the Chino Hills community. This year, for our State of the City, we decided to focus on just that, resilience. While we faced many hardships and challenges, both individually and as a city, Chino Hills has always found unity within our community. There is an overwhelming sense of pride in our community. It shows in all the ways our residents, businesses, and community partners come together in times of joy and celebration, or in times of challenge and tragedy. Today, we will look at all that we have accomplished as a city over the past year. We will provide a brief update on our city's financial outlook and compare it to the very first one we had as a city 30 years ago. We'll also be highlighting our community's unsung heroes. Those are the people that make a difference and make Chino Hills a special place to be. So with that, let's take a look at this year's video. Hello, Chino Hills. I'm your Mayor Brian Johsz, and welcome to the 2021 State of the City. We can all agree that this past year has been difficult for all of us. Everyone in our community has been affected in one way or another, but despite all of the hardships and challenges that 2020 threw at us, the City of Chino Hills continued to show perseverance and resolve through the strength within our community. As we reflect on the past, it is important to focus on the future and face the challenges ahead of us together, because united, we succeed.
Communities across the globe were tested beyond what any of us could have imagined in 2020 and so far this year. People have referred to 2020 as being the new normal, but we chose to do things differently. Instead of accepting the way things are, we united as a community and stayed resilient. The City of Chino Hills was flexible and retooled to continue to provide services to our residents, business owners, teachers, students, and neighbors. And this State of the City truly reflects unity within community.
Endurance was our motive, adapting was our goal, and it all started with safety. While continuously adhering to the health and safety guidelines provided at the county, state, and federal level, we made it a priority to keep our residents and our employees safe during the rising stages of the pandemic.
As directed by health officials, testing was and still is a priority to not only stop the spread of the virus, but to help drive our positivity rate lower and ultimately inch the county closer to less restrictive tiers. By partnering with San Bernardino County, we work to plan and provide various COVID-19 testing events, flu vaccinations, blood drives, and now COVID-19 vaccination clinics. Although the health and safety of our community continued to be a high priority, the pandemic economically damaged our local businesses, causing many layoffs and closures, and they too needed our help. We used funding provided by the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security (CARES Act) and launched multiple grant programs for micro and small businesses in Chino Hills starting in November 2020. Eligible businesses were awarded up to $10,000 in grant money that did not need to be repaid. That's funding put directly into the hands of our local businesses to help keep them afloat. As if dealing with the worldwide pandemic wasn't a big enough challenge, 2020 presented another one. On October 26, 2020, Chino Hills was hit with one of the biggest disasters to date, the Blue Ridge Fire. 13,694 acres burned, damaging much of Chino Hills State Park and causing nearly 20,000 residents to evacuate their homes and businesses. As the fire approached, residents faced fear and uncertainty, but our unity with community shined brighter than ever.
Neighbors were helping neighbors, and our community supported the efforts of firefighters and law enforcement. Many local businesses donated food and water to the people working on the front lines. By joining forces with our community partners and other mutual aid partners throughout the state of California, we were able to fight the fire with significant air support.
Although the fire came dangerously close to the Butterfield Ranch neighborhoods, Chino Hills emerged without any loss of life, homes, or major infrastructure. It started with the leading role of the Chino Valley Fire Department. Their courage, leadership, and dependability were on full display as they fought the fire on the front lines. Our Chino Hills Police Department helped execute timely evacuations, support road closures, and protect various neighborhoods. Our Public Works employees also played a key role in executing road closures and simply lending a hand wherever help was needed. The fire also triggered the activation of our Emergency Operations Center, a central location where all city emergency operations staff managed the assignment of support resources, kept informed on the fire status and evacuation needs. Our Community Relations Division communicated critical information to the public, and the city's IT division developed interactive evacuation maps. In addition, our Community Services Department helped the American Red Cross operate a temporary evacuation center at the Chino Hills Community Center. The Inland Valley Humane Society provided shelter for our four-legged friends, including dogs, cats, and even some llamas.
But in even the darkest times, there was always light to be found. Although the Blue Ridge Fire made its mark, our community learned from it. As with any community-wide emergency, there are lessons to be learned in communication, execution, and preparedness, so every incident becomes an opportunity to grow.
Since the Blue Ridge Fire incident, the Chino Valley Fire Department gained 4 new fire engines and will see the development of a future fire station located at Soquel Canyon Parkway and Pipeline Avenue. Upon agreement with the Chino Valley Fire Department, the city will provide the land and pay $8 million to construct and equip the new 4-acre facility, making it the 4th fire station in Chino Hills. The city will then receive the former fire training facility on Eucalyptus Avenue, which is just under a 1/4 acre of land. In addition, Chino Valley Fire Department agreed to assume the responsibilities of all wildfire protection, something that the city normally contracts with CAL FIRE to do, saving us $152,000 a year.
With the Blue Ridge Fire in the rearview mirror, we quickly realized that challenges come in all shapes and sizes. 2020 was not slowing down, and we intended to do the same. Rewinding back to March 2020, we started to hear the word pandemic, leaving many of us wondering what to do. Grocery store shelves were empty, toilet paper was a rare commodity, bottled water was nearly impossible to find. Then in the blink of an eye, COVID-19 reached the levels of a worldwide pandemic.
The city started canceling many events, classes, and programs to prevent gathering and mitigate the spread of the virus, and soon after, officially declaring a local emergency on March 16, 2020. The doors to our City Hall and City Yard closed to the public, and half of our city staff worked from home each week to attempt to prevent spread among our essential workers. On March 19, 2020, after initially proclaiming a state of emergency, Governor Newsom issued a statewide stay-at-home order.
The entire state paused, but we quickly retooled, and all of our city departments began to offer virtual services. Starting in April, we transitioned all city council meetings to virtual meetings.
This gave our residents the ability to stay in the know with all things Chino Hills, while still having the opportunity to voice their opinions during public comments. Due to the concerns of exposure to the virus, many of our services that normally require visits to City Hall transitioned to either phone or Zoom calls and appointments. Our Community Development Department revised its building inspection policies, instituting virtual inspections of occupied structures.
We didn't stop there. Our Community Service Department created virtual recreation as a way to continue to offer recreation opportunities. Resident engagement has always been something we pride ourselves on. So to help keep the engagement alive, we pivoted to bring back our community together virtually from the safety and comfort of their own homes.
Creativity was evident in the many contests that were conducted through social media. Virtual and take-home art projects were part of the Boredom Buster series of activities. Wellness Wednesdays resulted in the sharing of healthy recipes. And because fitness became challenging with the stay-home order and gym closures, fitness videos, exercise tips, and sports lessons were a big hit. Residents were more than happy to engage virtually with all the creative content being provided. We even went virtual with events like our annual Emergency Preparedness webinar. We successfully hosted a Zoom webinar with over 100 participants learning how they can be better prepared for an emergency. With the constant threat of wildfires, power outages, and earthquakes, it is critical that we keep our preparedness efforts alive.
When it comes time to reopening the doors to City Hall, we wanted to assure a safe work environment for our staff and safe experience for our residents.
We implemented strict safety protocols when entering City Hall by requiring that face masks be worn and the installing of COVID-19 guidance signage, social distance cues, hand sanitizer stations, and protection barriers. We also added appointment-based services and no-contact drop-offs.
From going virtual with many services to accelerating technological advances, we certainly adjusted as we needed to. Our Information Technology Division installed cutting-edge technology to meet the virtual needs of the time.
They developed and provided new mobile audio-visual systems. A total of 4 new mobile teleconference stations were provided for staff use and all of the key City Hall facilities to improve our webinar and virtual meeting capabilities. IT also rolled out new laptop docking stations so that staff could more easily work remotely and still access all of the files and software needed to do the job.
COVID-19 affected the way we handle physical objects, so the project that was moving forward well before COVID-19 ever hit ended up being perfect timing.
City staff goes through an extensive process with checks and balances for expenditures, which translates to an abundance of paper. We upgraded our financial system known as Munis, which allows staff to process invoices electronically with the same approval processes in place, but with a paperless workflow. Other technological advances in 2020 include improvements to our Emergency Operations Center at the Chino Hills Police Station, as well as upgrading our city mapping system, GIS Interactive Maps, a service that is available for residents to access on the homepage of our website.
Our technological advances continue to benefit the community overall. In fact, the city's automated license plate readers help the Chino Hills Police Department officers solve crimes. These high-speed, computer-controlled camera systems automatically capture license plate numbers which alert police and help them locate stolen vehicles, suspects of criminal investigations, missing persons, and much more.
Last year, these cameras helped our police department make 47 arrests for stolen vehicles and solve 5 other crimes. These cameras are a valuable asset in helping our police department prevent crime and protect the public, and we are grateful for them and the brave men and women of our Chino Hills Police Department.
We pride ourselves on the unique beauty of our city, from the parks to our trails, streets to transportation access, and everything in between. Our tireless efforts to keep Chino Hills a great place to be, even during a worldwide pandemic, is a true testament of that.
Kickstarting our progress was the grand opening of the much-anticipated Los Serranos Park in November 2019. With the help of the Chino Valley Unified School District, our Parks and Recreation Commission, and generous donations from the Chino Hills Community Foundation, McCombs Family Foundation, and the Howard and Nikki Applebaum Foundation, the city's 44th park was unveiled in the historic community of Los Serranos. 44 parks in one city is something you won't find in most communities. With California experiencing historic drought conditions, we took initiative to become a leader in water efficiency by installing drought-tolerant landscaping at various parks, including Los Serranos. In addition, we completed 7 turf replacement projects from June 2019 to June 2020, collectively replacing 84,682 square feet of turf throughout various parks to help reduce water use.
Now let's talk trees. As a proud Tree City USA, we work to enhance the health of our urban forest. Starting in 2019, we began a large multi-project effort to remove hundreds of dead and declining trees and replace them with new native ones.
With the help of various grants awarded by the California Natural Resources Agency, we are on track to take out approximately 350 trees and replace them with about 480 native trees throughout the string of parks, including Hollow Run, Strickling Nature Park, and in the future, Eucalyptus Nature Park. We have a beautiful environment in Chino Hills, and that includes 48 miles of trails. The trails in our city are a premier amenity. Just ask any one of our residents. In 2020, we highlighted our city mobile app, which allows hikers to view any trail, check difficulty, distance, and elevation gain, see time estimates, and track their progress while enjoying our beautiful trails. In fact, our mobile app helped us earn the Award of Excellence from the California Park and Recreation Society for our excellent ability to promote and demonstrate our parks and leisure services. To take it up a notch, we continue to make progress on our trail enhancement project that included improving signage by adding mile markers, directional, and secondary access point identification. The project was possible thanks to a generous $75,000 donation from the Chino Hills Community Foundation. Improvements to our parks and trails was only the beginning. With the help of our engineering division, we committed $6 million towards pavement projects, improving over 13 miles of roadway during the 2019-2020 fiscal year. We are also expected to improve another 10 miles during the 2020 to 2021 fiscal year. With the help of Caltrans, the city made long-awaited improvements to the Sokol Canyon Parkway off-ramp at the 71 freeway by widening the road and adding a dedicated right turn lane.
We continue to invest in our Los Serranos neighborhood. Our Safe Routes to School project gave Los Serranos community more of the much-needed sidewalk and curb enhancements to their roadways, paving the way for students to safely walk to school.
This project was split into 2 separate projects, covering the East and the West. The West project was completed in March 2020 for approximately $769,000. The East project is budgeted at $574,000 and will begin construction in mid-July of 2021. We also completed Phase 2 of our saddle replacement project in the Village Oaks and Overland Heights communities, a large-scale project that involved the replacement of corroded clamps that connect residential water service lines to the city's water mains.
Need a ride? Omnitrans has you covered. To keep the ball rolling with constant progress, we were pleased to assist in the announcement of the start of a new transportation service in our community, OmniRide.
This pilot program is a reservation-based, on-demand shared transit service like Uber or Lyft. Chino Hills residents can use the transportation service for the low price of $4 per trip. The fare includes a day pass that riders can use to connect to other Omnitrans routes. Download the OmniRide on-demand app to use the new service. Another major project is the city's housing element update, one of 7 required elements of the city's general plan. Every 8 years, the California state law requires cities to update its housing element to ensure it meets the housing needs for everyone in the community. As part of this process, the state of California is requiring all 500 cities in California through the Regional Housing Needs Assessment, which the city is mandated to comply with. Through this RHNA process, the state is requiring over 1.3 million new housing units to be planned for across the Southern California region. City councils and leaders have no control over the number of units the state allocates to them, and Chino Hills has been given over 3,700 units which must be included in the housing element update. It is extremely challenging to find sites for this number because our city is largely built out. Over the last couple of months, we have been collaborating with our residents through virtual workshops, bringing together city leaders, staff, and our council members to provide opportunities for community feedback as we work together to find a place in our city for these units.
Serving our community is one thing. To be continuously inspired by the community we serve is another. And Chino Hills never seems to lack inspiration. Our local businesses are the backbone of this community. As the pandemic took its toll, it was the perseverance and willingness to be fluid that kept our local businesses alive. And that inspired us. We wanted to contribute to the fight against this pandemic and lend a helping hand in any way possible.
We made it easier for businesses to be COVID compliant with guidelines set forth by local health officials. We did this by adjusting city codes and creating free permits to allow for temporary outdoor use and dining. Whether that meant moving dining tables to the parking lot or barber chairs under a tent, we wanted our businesses to have the versatility to pivot with the pandemic as it evolved. May I add, our local residents did an amazing job recreating the dining experience for their customers to feel a slight sense of normalcy. We further helped businesses by waiving temporary banner permit fees. This expedited the process to give businesses more flexibility to tell their customers that they are still open.
We were also conscious that with more time spent at home, residents were cleaning and organizing their homes. So we temporarily waived the yard sale permit fees. Like the business community, the overall morale among our residents needed a boost, and we were inspired to be that spark. What better way to enrich our community than by bringing back some of our signature special events?
Although the special events looked a little different than previous years, we were confident that our residents would still enjoy the experience, and we were right. Our movies in the park turned into movies in the parking lot, and the concerts in the park turned into concerts in the car. We pivoted and provided various drive-by events, including our annual trick-or-treat, where residents could still bring the little kids and big kids in costume for some treats. The pickup of free supplies to use at home so they could participate in the gingerbread house decorating contest. The drive-through pickup of hot chocolate and a virtual link to story time with Santa. A drive-through McCoy Holiday Lights event, complete with an appearance from Santa and his helpers. The annual Adopt a Family event for those who could use a little helping hand during the holiday season. And of course, our Active Adults 50-plus Christmas luncheon with food provided by Chino Hills Pizza Company and an appearance by Chino Valley firefighters. And let's not forget about our veterans. After starting the year off strong with a touching dedication ceremony and unveiling of the Military Service Monument at the Chino Hills Community Center in February, we were determined to keep the celebration alive by hosting a Veterans Day sign campaign, giving participants a unique way to be recognized for their commitment or a loved one's commitment to service. We also installed 6 signs in prominent locations throughout Chino Hills to honor our Purple Heart veterans, displaying our gratitude for their contributions and sacrifice.
But we weren't the only ones who were inspired in 2020. When COVID-19 forced many residents to make the difficult choice between going out for groceries and risking exposure to the virus, or staying home and not having food, our community united. Many residents took it upon themselves to do what they could to help our most at-risk communities.
Whether it was offering to shop for groceries, deliver food, or run errands for them, the community as a whole displayed their COVID kindness. Local organizations like Caring for the Hills, the Chino Valley Unified School District Hope Center, the Chino Valley Fire Foundation, and the Chino Valley Community Foundation all hosted drive-by events for residents to either donate or collect various items that were in demand during the height of the pandemic. The Chino Valley Fire Department established a new program called SOS, Serving Our Seniors, which focused on helping seniors with groceries, medication, and other essential services. Our Chino Hills Police Department even made sure to continue their tradition of hosting their annual Christmas toy drive to keep the holiday spirits high. For the young athletes in our community, inspiration was found through the drafting of 2 Chino Hills residents to the NBA in the top 5 in the same year. They joined the likes of NBA player Lonzo Ball, who is making a name for himself since his draft in 2017, and NFL kicker Tristan Vizcaino, who are all Chino Hills natives. For artists in our community, inspiration was found through our new Utility Box art program, a pilot program that we launched with the help of the Chino Hills Community Foundation and newly formed Public Arts Committee. The goal is to beautify neighborhoods and enhance the lives of our residents by showcasing visual art in public spaces. The first project transformed utility boxes into works of art.
Chino Hills has come a long way since its incorporation on December 1st, 1991. From what used to be home to a few ranchers and homesteaders, is now one of the most desired places to live in Southern California. As 2021 marks our 30th anniversary, we are thrilled to continue the strong vision of our forefathers to ensure continued success. We will always work to ensure that residents take pride in calling Chino Hills their home, and will continue to enhance the amenities that can be found here. The pandemic didn't stop our community development department from actively looking for new businesses to fill vacant space and settle in our city. We are excited to have Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory join us in the shops. Joining us in Gordon Ranch Marketplace is Dollar Tree, Blake's Swim School, and GC CrossFit. O'Reilly Auto Parts will be joining the newly added grocery outlet in the Chino Hills Shopping Center. With the emergence of pickleball as a popular sport, we are proud to bring 4 new permanent pickleball courts to Volano Park. Another gem for indoor and outdoor recreation in Chino Hills is the landmark McCoy Equestrian and Recreation Facility. 25 years ago, the late Helen McCoy leased her 20-acre ranch to the city of Chino Hills with very specific terms. At the end of the 25-year lease, and with a proven track record to uphold the equestrian heritage of the community, the city would have the option to purchase the property for only $1, with the intent to continue its use for equestrian and public purposes.
At the March 9, 2021 council meeting, the city vowed to do just that and officially purchased the property for $1. This transaction continues the rich equestrian heritage in our community. 2020 presented more than just challenges. Social movements unfolded, leaving many with a desire to be heard. Many gathered on street corners, exercised their right to free speech, and stood together in peaceful protest. Even with varied viewpoints, our residents displayed great unity while exercising their First Amendment rights. Another worldwide cause is the protection and enhancement of our environment. During our first ever community-wide neighborhood cleanup day, residents had the chance to make a difference in their own neighborhoods in conjunction with Worldwide Earth and Arbor Day. This event was just another example of the way our community embraces coming together for the common good. Many had fun with their families while teaching children the importance of respecting our environment. Every piece of trash and debris that was picked up individually made a larger impact on our community.
Aside from our community's ability to unite in times of challenge, our continued financial stability is equally worth celebrating. As we reach our 30th anniversary this year, the City of Chino Hills has accomplished maintaining its strong financial position through prudent, long-range policy decisions and sound fiscal management.
Our founding leaders had a conservative fiscal approach since the very beginning, and today is no different. The city will continue to monitor key economic indicators relative to the pandemic and will remain ready to adjust revenues and spending levels as part of its sound fiscal approach. This responsible budget approach has resulted in the establishment of a strong financial foundation, which is evident by our general fund reserve, which totals over $36.8 million.
While we may have experienced enormous challenges in 2020, the state of our city remains vibrant, thanks to our endurance, resilience, and the greatest resource of all, each other. Together, we have paved the way to a promising future, one that highlights Chino Hills as a land of opportunity and a desired place to live, work, shop, and dine. On behalf of the Chino Hills City Council, I want to thank each and every one of you who contribute in some way to our community. and who always remain focused on the betterment, hope, and unity within our great community. Together, we have endured, we have plenty to celebrate while understanding that there is so much more to achieve. Let's keep the ball rolling, continue to push the envelope of success, and further build on our ability to display unity within our community, no matter what the future holds. Our primary focus here at the city remains creating a community for residents to enjoy and where businesses can flourish. It is no secret that these have been trying economic times for all cities and businesses across our country. 2020 brought historic challenges as we saw economic shutdowns in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and statewide mandated business closures. As public officials, we take our fiduciary responsibilities very seriously and continue to work hard each year to earn our community's trust. While the long-term impacts of the pandemic are unknown, I am happy to report that the City of Chino Hills budget is balanced. Our fiscal health remains intact, and we retain a strong financial foundation where we are committed to building upon, to ensure our city's continued financial success. The city's budget lays the framework for everything that we do and the decisions that we make. It provides a spending plan and a work program for our organization. The city has always been conservative with our budget, our spending, and our staffing levels. This approach has really served us well during these fiscally difficult times. Here to share a brief review in comparison to our city's very first annual budget from 1994 and comparing that to today's budget, and to talk a little bit about how we stay on track is our very own city manager, Ben Montgomery. Ben.
Thank you, Mayor Johsz. Our city council and city staff maintain the highest standards of professionalism while managing the city's finances, and we see ourselves as stewards of the community's resources. The city operates with a conservative fiscal approach when developing our budgets and policies in order to maintain a healthy financial outlook and a secure reserve fund balance. City services are funded by a variety of sources. In some cases, the city has flexibility in where the money can be spent, and in some instances, the revenue comes from a specific source and must be dedicated to a specific task. One of the most important tools that helps to keep our city's finances on track, especially as we navigate the evolving economic impacts of the pandemic, is our quarterly budget review. Every quarter, we review our expenditures and revenue to evaluate the status of our budget, and we make any necessary adjustments to stay within our available resources. It's very similar to managing a household budget. While the scale is different, it's kind of like regularly balancing your checkbook. So let's look at a few illustrations of the city's budget. The best example to show our city's dedication to fiscal stewardship and our responsible financial approach is the city's general fund revenue. The general fund is the revenue that the city council has the most discretion over, and it funds many of the basic municipal services, including law enforcement, public works, wildfire protection, animal control services, and more. The top two contributors to the general fund are property taxes, 36%, and sales tax at 16%. To show how much our city has grown over the last 30 years, let's look at the general fund adopted budget for just a couple years after the city incorporated in 1994, when our population was at 48,495. In 1994, the general fund adopted budget totaled just over $8.8 million. In 2020, our population was 82,409, and the city's general fund adopted budget was over $44 million. That is five times the 1994 amount. This is a clear indication of the city's financial growth and the commitment we have for making Chino Hills a desirable place to live. We also continue to enhance our city's offerings by attracting new businesses for residents to enjoy. By shopping and dining in Chino Hills, residents can help increase the city's sales tax revenue, which contributes to the general fund, which adds to the available resources for services and amenities. All of us have struggled and suffered over the past year, and it has been a challenge to adapt to the economic changes that swept our nation. Our city team, like any and all in our community, has faced significant hardships, COVID exposure, kids at home from school, lack of childcare, and personal sickness and loss. But we are thankful to have a city team with an unwavering commitment to public service and a love of our beautiful city. City staff worked tirelessly and around the clock to ensure there were no disruptions of service to residents. As the city continues to grow and the population has almost doubled in size over the last 30 years, our staffing has also grown by 53%. We continue to expand and enhance city programs and services to ensure we meet the evolving needs of our residents. We were fortunate during the pandemic that city services were not impacted by layoffs. We owe the stability to the city's advanced planning, quarterly budget reviews, and the council's consistently conservative approach to staffing levels. As our available revenue grows, the city continually invests in our infrastructure through our capital improvement program to acquire, repair, and replace major assets needed to deliver services to our residents and businesses. While Chino Hills is still a young city, we must maintain the original infrastructure that we inherited from the county, such as many of our streets and much of our water infrastructure. In 1994, the city's budget for capital projects was over $16.7 million. Today, our CIP budget allocates over $43 million for us to invest into these physical, long-term projects and enhancements that continue to make Chino Hills a desirable place to shop, dine, and live. Over the last 5 years, the city spent an average of over $5.5 million per year on street maintenance and pavement rehabilitation projects to ensure our streets are always well maintained. Despite all the unpredicted challenges over the last year, we have continued to maintain our healthy reserves over the last 30 years. The city's general fund reserves serve as a savings account or a rainy day fund to tap into if large unforeseen projects come up, if the economy takes a dramatic downturn, or if unplanned repairs and circumstances arise, all of which we saw in the last year. Even with all the economic hardships brought on by the pandemic, we project that we will finish the year with a healthy $36.9 million in unrestricted reserves. The buildup and maintenance of reserves is a result of the City Council's responsible fiscal approach over the past 30 years. While the next phase of the pandemic is still unknown, we will continue to adapt and evaluate the organization as we move forward and respond to the evolving economic conditions. We will continue to be conservative stewards of your tax dollars in our effort to ensure a long-term financial health.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. As you heard just now, our original mission from incorporation in 1991 guides our policies and our budget and lays the framework for everything that we do. I'm very proud to live in Chino Hills, where we are fortunate to have so many dedicated people that help to our city's growth and well-being. Outside of our city council, staff, and civic leaders, we have some outstanding community members who really help to make the difference in Chino Hills. In 1991, we started the tradition of honoring our community's unsung heroes. They are the people who quietly do great things and donate their time to the city without expecting any recognition. So each year, our city council invites one nominee to be an individual to be honored. And today, we are excited to honor 5 residents who make a difference in Chino Hills. At this time, my colleagues on the City Council will join me one by one to honor and recognize our community's unsung heroes. First, I'd like to recognize my honoree, Ed Denson. Ed and his wife Sherry have been residents of Chino Hills since before we were a city in 1995. They have been married for 49 years and have raised their 4 kids in Chino Hills. He is a United States Marine Corps Vietnam veteran and served as a military policeman during the Vietnam era and as an E3 Lance Corporal. He has used his military service as the catalyst to continue to serve his fellow veterans in Chino Hills. Through his nonprofit, Ed has assisted veterans with disabilities in training their dogs to become service animals. He also helps non-veteran adults and children with disabilities in training their dogs. In 2016, Ed was a part of the Mobile Vietnam Memorial Wall Committee that raised funds to bring a half-scale replica of the wall that is in Washington, D.C. to our community. The wall provided an opportunity for residents to reflect on the service and sacrifice of the more than 58,000 servicemen and women who gave their lives for our country in Vietnam. He is an active member of the American Legion Post 299 and works to promote the service of our Chino Hills veterans. Ed also helped bring a Vietnam War exhibit to the Chino Valley that contained possessions that were left over from our visitors that visited the memorial wall. Most recently, Ed advocated for his fellow veterans to have the license fee for dogs waived. His efforts resulted in the Chino Hills City Council approving his suggested waiver program. I'm very proud to recognize Ed Denson as an unsung hero in Chino Hills. Ed, would you like to say a few words to the community?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mayor Brian Johsz and City of Chino Hills for the honor of Unsung Hero for 2021. It is my honor to serve our residents and all my sisters and brothers who served in the past and are serving today, because they are the backbone of this great nation and of our community. I am proud to be a veteran and will remain faithful to those I serve. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ed. Next, I'd like to invite Vice Mayor Ray Marquez to recognize his unsung hero nominee, Lisa Price. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate that. First of all, I'd like to say Lisa and her husband, Charles, moved into Chino Hills in 2006, and they have raised their 3 kids in our beautiful city. She has been an advocate for rescuing animals for many years. Lisa is known to go above and beyond in our community in bettering the lives of our homeless pets that have no voice and depend on others to help them find safety and a shelter and a new home to live in. In 2007, Lisa saw a trend of abandoned animals in neighborhoods and saw a need to bring a no-kill animal shelter to our community to give these animals a second chance at life. Lisa is now the executive director of Priceless Pets, a Chino Hills-based nonprofit which rescues animals from surrounding high-kill shelters or animals that have been abandoned. What began as a small local effort with 3 volunteers, like I said, 3 volunteers, conducting adoptions out of PetSmart, and has now grown to over 3 adoption centers, including the orphanage locally here in our beautiful city of Chino Hills. Because of her efforts, more than 18,000 pets have been rescued. Lisa also served on the city's first Chino Hills ad hoc committee. As part of this, she worked with the city council and our animal welfare partners to develop Getting to Zero, a program that has significantly reduced the euthanasia rate of pets in our city. In 2018, Lisa was recognized as Woman of the Year in a nonprofit organization by our state senator, Josh Newman. Lisa, congratulations. You have made such an impact in our community and a difference in the lives of the animals you save. Lisa, would you like to say anything to our beautiful community?
Thank you so much for this award, and thank you, Ray, for the nomination. It is a true honor, and I am so deeply humbled to be chosen. This award, while having my name on it, isn't just me. So many people help to achieve our goals and assist me in this life-saving mission each and every day. Thank you again, and this really means so much to me.
Thanks again, Lisa.
What a fantastic choice, Ray. All right. Next, I'd like to ask Councilmember Art Bennett to join me as we recognize his honoree, Sharon Wilkins. Art.
Thank you, Mayor Johsz. Sharon Wilkins has been a resident of Chino Hills since before we were a city. She and her husband, Richard, moved to Chino Hills before incorporation in 1988. Some of you might know her better as the watchdog of Chino Hills, or recognize her from her signature watchdog t-shirt or given nickname that she chose. Sharon was active in the city's incorporation effort and was involved in the grassroots efforts to gain support of the Chino Hills becoming a city. She attended the dedication ceremony of our first city hall and even submitted designs and drawings to be considered for the city's first logo. She ran for our city council during the first election in 1991. One could say she almost attended as many council meetings as a council member. For 9 years, Sharon served as president of the James S. Thalman Chino Hills Friends of the Library, a nonprofit support group whose purpose is to cultivate a closer relationship between the community and the library and share library services and resources with our residents. We cannot recognize Sharon without recognizing her husband, Richard. They will be celebrating their 60th anniversary this year and have one child together. In the early years, he drove her to many of the events so that she could serve our community and could often be seen by her side. Sharon, you have been such a significant member of our community over the last 30 years, and it is my extreme honor to recognize you as one of our unsung heroes. Would you like to say anything?
Yes, I would. I'm very thankful to get this award, and I am happy to live in Chino Hills. I even sang on the Chino Hills Christmas tape, which I found out we can't use it much anymore. But anyway, it's really a privilege to have served this community, and I thank you.
Well, thank you from the bottom of my heart, and thank you from all the citizens of Chino Hills, because you have truly made a difference in our community, especially in these first 30 years, these formative years. So thank you very much, Sharon.
You're welcome.
Sharon truly is a fixture in our community, and it's no surprise to why Councilmember Bennett chose her. So congratulations. Next, I'd like to ask Councilmember Rogers to please join me and recognize your unsung hero, Glenn Anderson.
Thank you, Brian. Hello, Chino Hills. Glenn is a longtime resident of our city. He first moved to Chino Hills in 1987 before Chino Hills was a city, and lives here with his wife, Suzanne. His three children are all exemplary products of Chino Valley school system. Anyone who knows Glenn would agree that very few people in town are more animated about their love for Chino Hills than Glenn. His enthusiasm is infectious. Outside of work, music and performing are Glenn's main hobbies. Besides being an accomplished musician, he has recorded and produced numerous CDs, including one he's just released this week in the rock, jazz, and blues genre. Glenn brings his talents to all our local churches and plays every Sunday as part of the in-house band during Sunday services. Little known fact, how many people do you know who attended Woodstock in 1969? I know one, Glenn. In 2013, Glenn joined the newly formed Chino Hills Community Foundation's Arts Committee, also known as CHARTS, and was appointed to the Chino Hills Community Foundation Board in 2016. Through these roles, he has been a very valuable contributor to the community with a focus on the arts. Specifically, Glenn has been an integral part of the planning team for concerts held inside the Chino Hills Community Center and has been a key member of the team to host the Chino Hills Foundation concert series at the gazebo at the community center. And he, along with a couple of others, assisted in putting together the Jazz and Blues Festival hosted by the foundation at the Big League Dreams. Glenn also chairs the foundation's Kids Art Program at the shops, which helps introduce children to a variety of art forms. Glenn, thank you for all you do for our community and congratulations. Would you like to say a few words to the community?
Yes, thank you very much, Peter. I'd like to thank certainly the council and all the people involved with city government, Chino Hills, for making it such a great place to live. I've been blessed to be able to take care, have my children and family involved with soccer, baseball, all of the churches and all the many just wonderful amenities that we have in Chino Hills. So it's a pleasure to live here. Like I say, I'm just thankful for all the blessings that we're given every day here in Chino Hills, and what a wonderful place to live. So thank you very much for this honor. I greatly appreciate it.
You're welcome, Glenn. And I agree with you. We all love Chino Hills, and you are reflective of what the Unsung Hero Award is all about. So thank you very much, Glenn. Brian?
Thank you. If you've ever been around any of those events, you can see that, Glenn, certainly his personality is infectious. So what a well-deserved award. So congratulations, Glenn. At this time, I'd like to ask Council Member Cynthia Moran to join me as we recognize her nominee, Linda Briney.
Thank you, Brian. Linda Briney has lived in the Carmen Canyon neighborhood since 1967. You heard that right, 1967. Linda comes from a long line of community volunteers. Her mother, Sue Briney, served on the Chino Hills Incorporation Committee, and her father, Don, was a member of the Chino Hills Citizens on Patrol for many, many years. Linda still lives on the same street in Carmen Canyon with her husband, Jose, just 4 houses down from where her parents lived and where she raised her 3 children, who are also outstanding examples of the Chino Hills school system. Linda is a proud grandmother, and in fact, her son Leland and his wife just welcomed their 3rd baby 2 weeks ago. So congratulations to all of your family. In 1984, Linda organized the Carmen Canyon Women's Club with 7 neighborhood women and served in many leadership roles over the years. Linda has organized several community events, including the Halloween ride of the Headless Horseman, holiday programs, and more. She has a true passion for sharing the arts with our Chino Hills community and is a member of the Charts Committee that Peter was just talking about. She's known for lending a hand at Charts events wherever she is needed, including photographing events, sewing costumes, curtains, and backdrops for theatrical events. She was also a key member that helped organize Charts' first Kids Art Expo at the shops in 2016 and helped recruit artists to help share their knowledge with over 240 children in attendance. She has been a member of the Chino Hills Historical Society since it was formed in 1994 and currently serves as their secretary. She helps the Historical Society with social media, recruiting guest speakers, correspondence, and leadership. In 2016, she was recognized as our Chino Hills Community Hero. Congratulations, Linda, and I certainly hope you have a few words to say, and it's such an honor to nominate you, and I couldn't be more thrilled for our community to learn more about you. Linda?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cynthia, and thank you to the city for recognizing me. It's so humbling to be recognized. And as you said, my parents, they set the example for me by volunteering. They were instrumental in volunteering in the city long before we became a city. So it was a natural progression for me to become a volunteer as well. I've seen how the programs in our community have benefited by having volunteer involvement, and by being a volunteer, I've personally grown. I've gained skills, and I've made lifelong friends that I would not have met had I not been a volunteer. So I'm hoping the progression extends to my children and my grandchildren. And I just really thank you for honoring me this way.
Well, it's a true pleasure, Linda, and I also find it a great honor to call you a friend as well. So again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia, and thank you, Linda. It's truly, those deep roots that make our city great, and so what a wonderful person to be honored for this. So thank you for helping us to recognize each of these remarkable individuals who make Chino Hills such a special place to be. When you see these caring individuals out in the community, make sure to thank them for all that they do. I hope that you have enjoyed our State of the City today. I'm confident that together, the city and the residents will continue to work together in the best interest of our community for the next 30 years and beyond. In closing, I would like to take a moment to thank all of our incredible staff here at the City of Chino Hills who worked tirelessly over this last year. Thank you to our creative team, the community relations staff, Brad Fonchier, Edward Chan, Nicole Freeman, Chris Eddy, and Valerie McClung for their hard work and dedication to make today's virtual event possible. The State of the City video will be available on the city's website and on social media channels, and a recording will air on the city's TV channels. Please be sure to share the video with your friends, family, and neighbors who are not able to tune in this evening. Thank you for joining us this evening, and have a great rest of your night. Goodbye.